What is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating? I'll go first.
So I would be around him and I would hold up my phone and take a picture of me, and he would have a heart attack. He would turn his head, put his hand up like this and be like, what are you doing? Don't take no photos of me. Let's just move it slow. I don't want to be posted. Then it seemed like after that one time I told him I had got paid, which was a big mistake. He kept on my paycheck more than me. It seemed like every 2 weeks he knew I got paid before I got paid. And he always needed some money. He told me he never wanted to be in a relationship with me, but he lived with me 8 days a week and we did relationship stuff 24 hours a day. He introduced me to his mom as just he said, "Ma, this one of my friends' Cookie." That's what he said. He never wanted to use protection and he would get mad at me every time I would pull it out and he'll be like, "I'm not using it, I'm clean. And then we just end up not doing it. And he never wanted to go anywhere with me in public. Like, he told me that I had a Kia Soul and that can't no dude like of his caliber be caught in a Kia Soul, and he got to be in a Charger or a Mercedes Benz or something like that. But it's like every morning I woke up, my gas level would be lower and my keys would be in a different place.
What is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating?
He was extremely depressed and I took it lightly because I was a freshman in high school. So anyways, he had called me back while I was in first class. It's like 7:30 in the morning. So I take a hall pass, I call him back. And, he's talking to me and he has the depressive voice, but I'm not thinking because it's 7:30 in the morning. So I'm like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just wanted to hear your voice, da da da." Next thing you know, about 10 minutes later, I hear a faint ambulance and I'm like, "Are you okay?" Da da da. And his voice is like sounding far away. And then next thing you know, I hear two other voices like, "Hey, are you okay, buddy?" And then I hear, "Malik, we're just going to take you to the hospital now." And I'm like, hello. The phone disconnects. I'm thinking it's a prank, like he's trying to fucking play with me. So I cussed him out and I was like, "You stupid ass motherfucking bitch. I fucking hate you. You could have just said you wanted to break up with me. You didn't have to pull no shit like that." It turns out he was actually on a 72-hour psych ward, psych hold, because he tried to kill himself. And they had to pump his stomach because he was about to die. And they would not let him leave the hospital until somebody signed him out. So yeah. I also got a referral for being out of class. So
what is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating?
I've told some stories about recording studio guy. Here's another one. We'd been together for a few months, and I felt like things were going really great. I was calling him my boyfriend. We'd been physically intimate. We were having a really good time. So one night we're hanging out. He gets a phone call. He looks at the caller ID and says, "I have to take this," and then goes into the sound booth. The soundproof sound booth. He's in there for like 45 minutes, and when he finally comes out, he is visibly agitated. So I ask him, "What's wrong?" He paces around for a little bit. Then he turns to me and says, "We're friends, right?" He explains that there was a call from a woman that we both knew, who, unbeknownst to me, he had been seeing for about a month, and she was calling to break it off with him. His feelings were very hurt, and he wanted to be consoled. I stayed with him for a year.
What is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating?
One time, I had gone on a few dates with this guy, and we were talking about revenge porn, and he was like, "Yeah, it's terrible, but sometimes they deserve it." And I proceeded to date that man for 4 years. He was not a nice person. I generally try to be like kind and compassionate to my younger self, but sometimes it can be really cathartic to look back at your younger self and be like, "Sweetie, honey, boo-boo, you're a fucking idiot."
What is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating?
Let's begin. For me, it wasn't that he was a 30-year-old man pursuing me, a then 19-year-old. And it wasn't that he had just purchased a $50,000 car but was still living on his best friend's couch. It was a completely different red flag that I just fucking bulldozed past. I can already hear the men in the comments being like, "You were 19, you were an adult, you did nothing wrong. Fucking go to bed." After he encouraged me to drop out of college and somehow convinced me to move into a whole ass apartment with him after 2 months of dating, I got home from work one day and decided I was going to withdraw money from the card that our company deposited our checks into, and was told that it was empty. And then I called the credit card company and they said it had been withdrawn earlier that day. My purse had been with him all day long while I was at work. So of course I inquired, "Perhaps did you find yourself bored today and decide to withdraw $100 from my account?" And he vehemently denied it. and then cried to me all night about how if you can't trust me with your purse, then clearly you don't love me as much as you should. Of course, I just wholeheartedly believed him and apologized profusely. He admitted to it the next day and said the only reason he took it is because he didn't think that I would miss it, so of course he should have it. I dumped his ass immediately. Just kidding, I dated him for a full fucking year after that.
What is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating?
I'm a nice guy. If he has to tell you he's a nice guy, he's not a fucking nice guy.
What is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating?
All right, a lot of you requested that I make more of these, so let's go. Today's super fantastic fun red flag is treating accountability like an attack. If they turn you into the villain and you have to babysit how they feel about their own shitty behavior, it's time to run. What might this look like? We'll break it down like we're all 5. So first off, we have to establish a boundary. Let's say you buy yourself an apple and you bring it home and you set it on the counter and you tell your partner, I bought myself this apple. It's just for me. Please don't touch it. The boundary has been established. There was clear communication. They understand what the expectation is. A little bit of time goes by and you decide that you want your apple. So you go to eat it only to discover that there are 3 huge bites taken out of it and it's already turning brown and getting gross on the counter. So you bring the apple into your partner and you say, hey, why did you do this? We agreed that you wouldn't eat this apple. Why did you? And see, this is where the fun gymnastics begin. Because even though you are physically providing them with proof of their shitty behavior, they still don't want to accept it. They'll say things like, I didn't eat the whole apple. Why are you acting like I ate the whole apple? I obviously only took a couple of bites. Why are you acting like it's such a big deal? I didn't eat the entire apple. Why are you always acting like I did? They turn it back around on you and make you the bad guy for calling them out on their bad behavior. They're also probably going to get mad at you for setting that boundary in the first place. There would be comments like, why did you even buy the apple? Why did you even set it there? You know how I feel about apples. Like, how dare you turn this into an environment where I have to restrain myself from my apple addiction? You still have half an apple. Why can't you just cut that part off? The rest of it's still good. Now, all of this directly translates to, you need to drop your boundaries for me because I refuse to change my behavior for you. They will find a way to make you be the bad guy, or they will find a way to make themselves at least the victim so that you need to pity them over the fact that they just trampled all over your boundaries. Watch out for these folks. They're not changing.
What is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating?
I moved back to my hometown about 2 years after getting sober and got a job at a little coffee shop and was a barista. There's this guy that came in every morning and he caught my eye right away. He was very well-spoken, articulate. We had a lot of things in common, and he was gorgeous. He gave me butterflies, and I hadn't had butterflies in a really long time. He made up some silly excuse one day to ask me for my number, and of course I was just beside myself. We texted for a while, and he finally asked me out. I was really excited for this date. We were meeting at his house, and then we were going to go out to eat, and I texted him and told him I was outside, and he asked me to come upstairs real quick. He wasn't ready yet. I really didn't want to, but I said, okay, I wasn't going to sit out in the parking lot. And I walked up to his apartment, knocked on the door, and he opened up the door. When we made eye contact, my stomach flipped. I don't know why. There was something that just made me uncomfortable, and I knew immediately that it was a wrong fit. But of course I didn't listen, and things went downhill from there. Red flag after red flag after red flag.
What is a red flag that you should not have ignored?
When I met him, one of his tires was messed up. It kept going flat. And anytime we needed to use his truck, if we waited too long and the tire went completely flat, then we had to take my car, put the tire in it, go to air up the tire, then go back and put the tire back on his truck to drive his truck. And then once we got to wherever we were going, it would be like we couldn't stay long, like, oh shit, the tire's going flat, we gotta go.
What is a red flag that you should not have ignored about someone you were dating?
You ever watch your favorite movie with the person you're dating? And the movie is a horror fantasy period piece set in a fascist European country. And despite the presence of many really good characters, the person you're dating thinks that the literal fascist villain is the cool one. Oh, but he's masculine and he looks cool and classy. He literally tortures people. He is the most dangerous monster in the film. And yes, more dangerous than one of the most terrifying nightmares to bless cinema. At least the pale man doesn't come after you unless you take his food. Meanwhile, this dude will murder you for looking at him wrong. Yeah, if that happens, it's a red flag. Get out immediately.
What's a red flag that you should have avoided while dating someone?
Woo! Do I have the goddamn answer? Do I? The biggest red flag that came that I should have said, all right, exit stage left, was I ended up pregnant and we were going to tell his parents that I was pregnant. First of all, that's a red fucking flag. I don't know why we were in such a fucking hurry. Whatever. We go to tell his parents we're pregnant, and I'm sitting at the table and his mother gets up deep. I'm talking about, when I say the cry and the sound from her crying when she walked off, you would have assumed we told her somebody died. Like, it was such a deep, saddened cry. Red flag number 1. Red flag number 2, his father said that I should consider my options and that his family was going to feel like I trapped him. It takes 2 to make a baby. One of us holds the power to make that baby in the beginning. All I do is fucking grow it. But you know, I'm a medical professional. What the hell do I know? So, red flag number 2. Third red flag. He literally kept insinuating for me to get an abortion until the time I couldn't get an abortion anymore. Now they all act like my daughter's the best thing since sliced bread. I can laugh about it now because it's funny, but it's just like, that's the only time that man ever made sense. That's the only time his father ever made sense, and that I wish I would have listened to him. You know better, you do better. Y'all be safe out here.